Well, hello and good morning. Yes, it's me, ច្ច̌οχ̌ǒ ც̌οχ̌ǒ, and today is Monday, July 1st, 2024. And no, I am not in Florida at the moment, but I am on Cape Cod. And that's the view right out the front door. And if you go straight across, you're going to go right through Woods Hole directly into Martha's Vineyard. Look at that sky. Is that absolutely gorgeous today with white clouds just kind of floating in the air. It is absolutely a spectacular day here. And, this is my happy place. It's a place that my family has owned for more than 60 years. It was a place I grew up in. I came here every summer. My kids grew up here, and we continue to come back year in and year out. In any event, here are the things you need to know to get your day started. Well, the second quarter ended on a mixed note. The S&P and the Nasdaq were kissing new highs. The PCE data come in as expected, so there were no surprises up or down, right? Bonds gained on a rate cut narrative, right? On the idea that the PC was enough to suggest that the Fed could cut rates, right? Oil holds steady and gold is holding steady. There's more eco data this week. Friday, though, is the key economic day. We're going to get the NFP report. And what do we have at dinner tonight? We're going to have the salmon and a lemon dill sauce. Okay, so it's over, right? The second quarter is now in the history books. And while the S&P and the Nasdaq ended the quarter nearly kissing new highs, up 14.5% and up 18.1% respectively for the first 6 months of the year, the Dow Industrials and Transports, along with the Russell, are not really celebrating, right? They ended the quarter and then the 6 months. The Dow was ahead by only 3.8%. The Transports down by 3%, where the Russell was barely positive at up 1%. On Friday specifically, we saw the Dow lose 45 points. The S&P gave up 23 points. The Nasdaq lost 126 points, while the Russell rose 10 points. The Transports rose 150 points, and the equal-weighted S&P added 5 points. Now, you can argue that the moves were driven by a range of factors, right? The end of the quarter, portfolio management, window dressing. Certainly, the Russell rebalance played a role in all that, and the economic data that we saw reported on Friday. Personal income was up a half a percent, right? 0.5% versus the expected 0.4. Personal spending was a bit weaker at plus 0.2% versus the expected 0.3. The one that everyone was waiting for was the May PCE report, and that came in line, not hotter nor cooler, which some found to be a bit of a disappointment. We learned that the month-over-month PCE came in at 0%, which was the expectation, while the core PCE, right, ex-food and energy month-over-month came in at plus 0.1%. Year-over-year on both the top line and the core line, PCE came in at plus 2.6%, which was the expectation. So no surprises, thus no real reaction. Bonds did gain on these reports, arguing that since they were not worse than the expectation, then that's a positive, and that means that the Fed has leeway to cut rates, right? The 2-year ended the week yielding 4.77%, while the 10-year ended the week at 4.43%. The dollar edged just a bit lower on that falling rate cut narrative. This morning it's trading at 105.69. That's down from Friday's high at 106.12. Oil remains in the $80 to $85 trading range. This morning, oil is up 60 cents at 82.16. The oil barometers are now reporting that asset managers have boosted their long positions as they expect this commodity to rise over the coming summer months as demand surges and supplies come into balance. Remember, the Saudis continue to hold production at lower levels to try to get prices higher. Calls for $90 oil are now common. We're now well above all three trend lines and have the April high of $85 directly in our sights as the next target to pierce. Gold is trading at $23.45. Again, it remains in the broader $2,300, $2,400 trading range that we have been discussing for weeks now. Of the 11 S&P sectors, this is how the quarter and the first half of the year ended. Tech up 28%, communications up 26%, financials up 9.25%, energy up 9%, utilities up 7.5%, consumer staples up 7.5%. Industrials up 6.9%, healthcare up 6.9%, consumer discretionary up 5.2%, materials up 3%, and real estate, though, remains in negative territory, down 4%. Now, if we move further down the line, we saw semis up 28% the first half of the year, home builders up 5.6%, retail was up 3%, airlines are up 3.3%, the growth trade up 28%, while the value trade only gained 4.5%. Oil and gas exploration up 6.25%, while aerospace and defense only up 3.3%, which I'm still surprised at. And then there was the debate And again, recall what I always say, politics do not price stocks in the long term, but they can create short-term chaos. By all accounts, the debate was a disaster. When JoJo and Donnie took the stage, there were no pleasantries. Neither one of them acknowledged each other. There was no handshake. It was childish, in my opinion, but it reflects the division in the country. The question started immediately, and JoJo was the first to respond. And then the Dems hit the panic button. When it was Donnie's turn, he spoke in broad generalities, saying a lot, but then saying nothing at all at the same time. In my opinion, both failed to wow the electorate, and by all accounts, the CNN debate was a failure. What happened next, though, is what the headlines are all about. Is JoJo capable of being president for the next 6 months, never mind the next 4 years? No need to rehash it. We all know what our eyes saw and what our ears heard. Although, on Friday morning, the New York Times of all newspapers, and just one of many, ran with 4 articles calling for him to step aside, sending Democratic leadership into meltdown mode. On Sunday, Nancy Pelosi appeared on CNN, and when asked about JoJo's performance, she immediately turned it around and made it about Donnie, telling the world that it was Donnie who was suffering from mental deficiencies and not JoJo. And then Georgia Senator Warnock, he appeared on NBC's Meet the Press to repeat that exact same narrative, while also making sure to remind voters that Donnie's a convicted criminal, which, by the way, I think is only proving, every time they say that, it only proves it only proves to be Donnie's benefit, right? So I guess that's going to be the new Democratic position. All Donnie does is lie, so that makes him mentally deficient and unsuitable to hold office. The Democrats asking, why would the country want to elect a mentally deficient candidate, which is actually kind of comical. Even Chucky Todd, who's a Democratic strongman, is asking what the Dems are thinking, asking out loud on Meet the Press, is JoJo telling us the truth about his own health? And then in the Eurozone, the French took to the polls yesterday, right on Sunday. And what did we learn? Well, Marine Le Pen's far-right conservative party taking a win in the first round of elections, pushing Manny a bit further to the edge. Yet that's not causing investors across the Eurozone to panic at all. Markets across the zone are all up better than 1%, and in France, currently up 115 points or 1.5%, performing the best out of the whole segment. Economic data today includes the S&P U.S. manufacturing PMI. Expectations are for it to come in at 51.7, which is expansionary mode. Construction spending up 0.2%. ISM manufacturing PMI of 49.1, which is contractionary mode. ISM new orders of 49, while the ISM employment is expected to come in at 50, directly on the dividing line. Later in the week, we're going to get services PMI, which is important because we are a services economy, and that's expected to be in expansionary mode. Factory orders, durable goods orders. On Wednesday, we're going to get the latest FOMC minutes. Thursday's a holiday, so the markets are closed. And then on Friday, we're going to get the June non-farm payroll report, which is arguably the most important data point this week. U.S. futures are up this morning. Dow futures up 50, S&P's up 4, the Nasdaq ahead by 45, the Russell's up 3. Nothing really dramatic. We're now fully in summer mode, so expect Mondays and Fridays to be a bit lower volume days and potentially a bit more volatile, while most of the action gets crammed into Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Remember, as a long-term investor, having a plan is key. Staying focused is key. Not getting distracted by the noise is key. Give me a call to discuss, because I'm always happy to help people talk about creating long-term wealth and creating long-term generational wealth. And anyway, what do we have for dinner tonight? Well, we're going to have the salmon in a lemon dill sauce, right? It's a great salmon fillet dish, right? It's easy to make, and you can eat it either right out of the oven, or you can eat it at room temperature and serve it as a Sunday brunch. For this, you need a cup and a half of mayonnaise. You need a half a cup of brown mustard, like a Dijon mustard, not the yellow. You need a teaspoon of lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of prepared horseradish. You need 2 cloves of garlic, a quarter cup of fresh dill. You need salt and pepper to taste, and maybe a 2-pound salmon fillet. You're going to start by seasoning the fillet with salt and pepper, and then just set it aside. In the bowl, you're going to combine all the other ingredients: the mayo, the mustard, the lemon, the horseradish, the garlic, the salt and pepper, and the dill, right? You're going to combine it all, taste it, adjust the salt and pepper if you need to. Spread the dill mayo sauce on the flesh side of the fish. and then bake it skin side down in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes or so, depending on the thickness of your salmon fillet, right? Maybe it's 20 minutes. If it's a thicker piece, it might be 20 minutes, also depending on how you like it. Once it's done, you're going to take it out of the oven. You're going to present it on maybe a white platter. You're going to put some kale on a white platter and put the salmon fillet on top of the kale so it looks beautiful. Serve this with, if you're going to eat it for dinner, you can have just a small side salad on the side. If you're going to make it for a Sunday brunch, you're going to serve it amongst everything else that you're going to prepare for the brunch, whether it's eggs, whatever else you're going to prepare. But it works well either way. In any event, it is an absolutely spectacular day here on Cape Cod. Until tomorrow, take good care.